All right, so I had asked you to complete page 4 of this review sheet. This is a good question, a good set of questions of things they're going to ask about these topographic maps. The only thing that I had missing on here was I did not ask you to draw any contour lines. That is definitely something that the Regents will ask you to do as well. So we'll do some practice with those before the year is over still. But this is a great example. So as you have been going through the practice test that I've been giving, you'll see that that's kind of how they ask questions. They give you one, like in this case, it would be a map, maybe it was a graph, maybe it was a reading, and then they ask a chunk of questions that go with them. This is exactly how they would set up a question about topographic maps. They'd give you a map, and then you'd ask you all the things we've learned about them. The first is a perfect example. This is exactly question 1 and 2. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a question just like this on the Regents. So it asks, which way is Maple Stream flowing? And then a follow-up question of how did you know? So first of all, here's Maple Stream. It's this line right there. Which way is it going? What do you guys say? Southwest. Maple Stream is flowing southwest. And yes, if it is, so see how it's going at that angle? It's not going straight. It's not going straight south, not going straight west. It is going southwest. I will also point out, always double check the compass before you do anything with directions to make sure that up the paper really is north and down the paper is really south. One year they did it so north was down here, and even I got that question wrong. So if north was down here, just flip your paper over then you still have never eat soggy worms. So just double check that they're not being big old jerk faces. Hey, what do you need? With your AirPods on it? There were AirPods on it. Oh, okay. All right, anyway, so how did we know this river was flowing southwest? There's 2 different good answers.
Whatever you call it, like the V shape going.
So that is the easiest, I think, as long as you can remember it. So hang on one second. So see how these contour lines, every time they cross the stream, they form almost a V shape, but it's not a perfect V. I guess it's in this case, it's going this way. And what we're going to say about the V's, because you do, yes, they form a V, but that's not a good enough answer. What about them? Water comes out of the V's is good answer. So water comes out of V's. There's another way to word it. You could say that the V's point uphill. So that's still about the V's. But then there's another completely different answer that we know the river's going southwest. Is that the one you had, Cooper? Remember that streams always flow downhill. So we actually look at the lines. Here's the 500 line. There's the 510. So 510, 500, 490, 480, 470, 460. So you could also say the contour lines are going downhill, something like that, or the water is going downhill. This is another classic Regents. They want to know what is the highest possible elevation at Girard Hill. Now, Girard Hill has no labels anywhere near it. That's not coincidence.
529.
So no.
Was it in the 530s or?
Hang on, let's talk about it. So here's 500. This is the only line that's labeled. So I follow that line over, and I'm just going to label it because you guys know that I like labeling. I'm also going to just double check to make sure I didn't screw up. That is the 500 line. They are going up by 10 feet. They tell you that there. By the way, could you have figured out that they were going up by 10 feet even if they didn't tell you? They did label 500 and 550. So 500, 510, 520, 530, 540, 550. So you knew that they were going up by 10. So if this is 500, this is 510. Here's 520, here's 530. So the highest that they labeled was 530. Is that as high as it could possibly be? Nope. So could there be a 540? Why not a 540? There's no contour line. They would have labeled it. They would have had to label a 540. So there's no 540s. But remember, We don't care about anything in between 530 and 540. We don't label them. So the highest this could be would be one less than what the next line would have been. So 539. And by the way, what are the labels? Feet. Again, if you don't know how to abbreviate feet, spell it out, F-E-E-T, or just F-T is how you
You
abbreviate it.
can label that, when you got points wrong.
On the regions, which you may have been noticing on the answer sheet, more than likely,
They'll fill it out for you.
I think in that case, similar to this one question you had yesterday, it did say millions of kilometers. If they do not, if they want you to do it, it will literally say in the question, include the proper units. If they don't, like for this question 52, they would not have had that line in it. It's just there. Okay. Now gradient was throwing a whole bunch of you for a loop. Gradient is the change in field value divided by distance. That's right straight off the reference table. Remember, anytime you got to do math in this class, unless it's average, they give you the formula right there. The only weird part is, what the heck is change in field value? It's a measure, it's change in whatever's being measured. So in this case, this map was feet or elevation. We've done some maps that have been temperature or pressure. So in that case, it would be change in pressure or change in temperature. This one's change in elevation. This question did ask to do between A and B. How do I figure out the change from A to B? What do I gotta do to get this top number? Subtract. I need to know what A is. A is on an unlabeled line. I'm not surprised. So here is the 500 line, 510, 520. So A equals 520. What's B?
Right.
That one is right on a line. So B is right on 50. So how much does it change between the two of those? 30 feet.
Like absolute value, like there's no like.
Yeah, I mean, technically going from A to B, yeah, no, it doesn't matter if it's high. It's in this class, it doesn't matter. If you were doing this for real, they might want to, like a negative would mean it's going downhill, a positive would mean it's going uphill, but this does not matter. How do I find distance on one of these?
Measure and use the.
Gotta use the scale. Now, I know some people have been fans of doing something like this and doing your best. Don't do that, please. Grab a scrap sheet of paper, mark off where A and B are, and bring them down to the scale. In this case, the scale was not big enough. I don't think that would ever be the case on the Regents, but I think you guys know how to operate with that. So that would be 6 miles. Then if I start over, putting the 6 on the 0, instead of this next line being 1 now it's 7, 8, 9. Now for mine, I got mine to be like 9.1 or 9.2. If you probably said 9, I'd say you're good. But I am just gonna do my 9.2, and that's miles. And again, they would tell you what to round to. Most likely they would tell you to round to the nearest 10. What number goes in the calculator first? 30. Okay. The top number goes in the calculator first. The numerator. 30 divided by 9.2. Again, if you had a different answer, that's fine. Mine came out to, if I wanted to round this to the 10ths, what number is the 10th place? Okay, so that's the 2, the 3, the 6 tells me to round that 2 up. So my answer would be 3.3. And the units are just like the math. You take the feet divided by miles. 3.3 feet per mile. I guarantee you they would not give you the units for that one. That one they'd say in the directions, be sure to include the proper units. So that would be part of the question, is having the right units. And if you don't have the right units, no matter what your math answer is, the question's wrong. Be careful. And also, if you had abbreviated that M instead of MI, the whole thing's wrong. Good with gradient? Now notice how they went from doing the gradient between A and B and the profile from C to D. That wasn't coincidence. They switched it up again to mess with you. Again, we talked about how much of a jerks they are. So expect that. So just read carefully. When I taught you how to do profiles, my first step was to label the line. Notice how even though some of the lines are already labeled, even though they're just counting by tens, I still labeled them. Do you have to? No, but it's gonna get messy if you don't. Then I think this is the one I used. You mark down. Oh, must have forgot to label that one. So we've got them labeled. Now these labels on here, notice I only did 10, 20, 30, 40. I kept the numbers short. You do you. You're the only one who has to read your scrap paper. Then you bring it down to the x-axis. Sometimes they would already have, like, here they might put C. So you have a starting point. If they don't, just go ahead and put it wherever your heart desires. So C goes to 500. Then the next one goes up to 510, 20, 30, sorry, should have done this already, 40, 50, 60. Be very careful that your lines go where they belong. So I am putting these faint lines going up. You don't have to. You also, if you do, you don't have to erase them. But make sure you go through and connect them up. What do I do when I get up here to my 560?
Just go over it.
You have to curve it up and over. Now, how about the fact that mine doesn't go back down to 500?
End it.
No, do not extend it.
End it.
Oh, just end it. Yes, sorry. D ends here. Don't do extra. So it's not a regular graph where like everything has to go back down to 0. Just do what they ask and nothing more. I have one more question that's not on here that I should have put on here. If you want to copy it down to help you study or remember, you can, but my question is going to be, which side of Holland Hill is the steepest and how do you know? So that's going to be my question. Okay. Go ahead, everybody figure that out. And by which side, I mean which compass direction. So take a look at Holland Hill. There's Holland Hill. I want to know, is the north, south, east, west, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest side most steep?
Oh, I thought you were only talking.
Yeah, they're never ever talking about left and right on a map. What do you think? I hear Cooper's answer. How about the rest
What
of
I'm
you?
judging, I'm looking at like a topographic.
South would have been a good enough answer. Cooper did want to go and say a little bit southwest. I agree. The southwest is a little bit steeper than the southeast. How do you know? So I'm just going to go with south. And yes, you need to be able to say because whys. And Cooper said the lines are close. Perfect. Now I think with that new question 6, this covers everything you'll have to know about topographic maps. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure. Did I give you guys this packet in this class?
Yes.
If you were not here, there are more copies up there. What this is, for those of you who weren't here on Friday, it starts with 101 facts you just got to know about earth science. Things that you will not find in your reference table that you just gotta know. If you do nothing else to study, I would commit these facts to memory. Then on the following pages is notes from each chapter. I got rid of all the extras, no questions, no examples, no nothing. For example, here in chapter 2, this is when we did topographic maps. So on here, it shows you like which way the stream goes. They point upstream. How to draw a profile. How to calculate gradients. What happens if the lines are close or far apart? So that is stuff you just got to know that will help you answer these questions. So I would definitely keep this packet handy as you're going through homework. So for example, tonight you have homework. It is back in the January 2024 test. You guys are doing question 66. So 66 through 75. If you get to a question that you don't know, I don't recommend skipping it at this point in the year. I don't recommend guessing. And yes, Googling might help, but I would look back into your reference tables and your notes before you start Googling. Unless if you're Googling, you're then going to commit that information to memory. So this question has to do with unconformities. I'm just looking real quick. We got unconformities, cooling rate of magma, and stuff like that. So you're gonna find that information. Here's some of that. So dynamic crust. Here's the rock layers, things like that. If you're stuck, go back in this packet and help you remember how to do it. This looking up how to do an answer is studying. So on that note, you do have homework 66 through 75. But I also realized that on Friday, we never got a chance. Did we go over the homework on Friday, the multiple choice?
I think so, right?
Did we go through the answers and anybody need any help on any of those? No. For example, you guys can tell me how I knew what chert was?
Yep.
Yeah, some of you did. I don't know if we did this. Grab your answer sheets so we can check our work. To be honest, I don't remember what we did. So I'll read them out to you. Number 36, the answer is 2. Everybody there or not yet? Wait for a couple people. 36. 36, the answer is 2. 37, 4. 38, 1. 39, 2. 40, 3. 41, 4. 42, 3. 43, 2. 44, 2. 45, 1. 46, 4. 47, 1. 48, 2. 49, 3. 53. Which ones of those did you get wrong and we should go over? There's got to be a few. For example, let's talk about this one, which I think is weird. Which mineral has a chemical composition most similar to chert? What the heck is chert? I have no idea, and I teach this stuff. So I start looking for, it does tell me minerals. So I'm gonna look back here on my mineral chart, but nothing on here says chert. Where did they talk about chert? The reading. This is one of those questions where chert isn't something I teach you, but they talk about chert in here, and they talk about chert, which is mostly composed of SiO2. Composition, SiO2 is exactly the same as quartz. Which other one should we go over? Yeah.
44.
44. I think I've gone over this one in every class, so that must have been a tricky one for people. 44, where the heck is it? Yes, this one was a multi-step question. So first of all, you had to use this chart or this map, and they did tell you the map shows a low pressure system over the eastern United States. Partial weather station models are indicated at X, Y, and Z. Isobars are recorded in millibars. What the heck are isobars? Yeah, those things, the lines, but this time it's for pressure. So just like the ones we just did, here's a map using, instead of them being elevation, they're pressure this time. But they're given in millibars, and they gave you a question in inches of mercury. So they wanted to know which location has an inches of mercury closest to 29.65. These are given in millibars. But luckily for us, we have a conversion chart. 29.65, sorry, I lost it. 29.65 is right here. So there's 29.6, 29.7, 29.65 is right there. Pretty darn close, if not perfectly equal to 1004 millibars. The 1004 millibar line is right there, and X is on that one. Two-step question. One, you had to be able to read this. Two, you had to be able to convert it. That's the kind of stuff they love.
You 39 and 45.
You good with that one, by the way, Lynn? Use and 45?
Yeah.
So as long as we're here, we'll do 45 first. Says the prevailing winds will cause this low pressure system to move towards. This is where you've got to remember this reference table. This reference table shows you the prevailing winds for the entire globe. This is showing you which way the winds almost always move on the entire world. So this map was the United States, which hopefully you know where we are located on the map. But if you don't, keep in mind that North America, we're somewhere between 23.5 and 65.5. We're in this general region here, which puts us somewhere north of 30, but south of 60. So these are our prevailing winds. They come from the southwest and move towards the northeast. So almost all weather in the United States blows from the southwest to the northeast. So that was 45. That's why the answer was 1, northeast. And then you said 39?
Yeah.
39, I did not teach you this to memorize this. I did teach you how you could have worked it out. So they wanted to know, and now granted, you guys should have kind of remembered, just saying.
Some supposed to be blacked out.
Yeah, so we wanted to block out the sun. So what I did was I would have drawn the system. So here's Earth. Here's the sun. Here's where the moon's going to go around. Which position will the moon block the sun? It's when the moon is here. And what phase would that be? Keep in mind that this side would have been dark. So that would have been, if you're standing here on Earth looking out, the moon is blocking the sun. And that's when the moon is in a new position, which is here on April 8th.
I was looking this. Oh yeah. Right.
This is the moon blocking the sun. If we were on this side, this is the Earth's shadow blocking the moon, and that would have been a full moon over there. That was tricky, and that's not anything. I did not teach you to memorize that, but you could have figured it out by doing the drawings. It was tricky though. Gotta be a couple more? Anybody? Nobody? We aced the rest of it?
Yep.
Yeah,
50.
let's do 50. Yeah. I don't like this one. Carbon dioxide can be used to determine the ages of both, remember, carbon-14 has a very short half-life. And carbon-14 can only also be used, this is the kicker, for things that contain carbon. Quartz and calcite, oh, they do have carbon. No, they don't, never mind. Quartz has no carbon. Oh, it does have carbon, ZaCO3. Okay, so I have only reading half of this question. No, okay, a both, yeah, so that's it. Can't do quartz because it's got no carbon. Same with granite. Granite has no carbon. So of these two, mastodon, humans, trilobites, and dinosaurs, trilobites are ancient. Trilobites, and the last trilobite went extinct in 251 million years ago, whereas mastodons and humans are way up here. Trilobites can only carbon-14 can only go back about 25,000 years before it's too small, just like our tiny Twizzlers, if you remember. So that one is going to be 3 because it can only be used to date young things that contain carbon. All right, so unless anybody's got any more. Obviously, we did not get to go over tonight's homework. So that works out for some of you. Due today was questions 51 through 65. If you did not complete them yet, do them for homework tonight. So your homework tonight is to make sure questions 51 through 75 are complete. And this time, no matter what, you have to put your answers in the answer booklet. And that's because there's questions that there's no place to write your answers in the booklet. So does anybody need a copy of, get up here and get it. Anybody needs a copy of the answer sheets? They're up there. So again, for tonight, you're making sure that pages or questions 51 through 75 are done. Some of you already did them. Right, you are only coming to school tomorrow unless you're taking the algebra test or a teacher has told you to get your butt in here and do some review with them.
Wait, Miss Rick, you want, coming?
I didn't say that, no.
Oh, well, we'll be here.